Hello, Scott Thomas here with Stewardship Matters. I oftentimes get asked questions, well, what does it mean to be a certified kingdom advisor? What does it mean to offer biblical advice? What does that really mean? Does that mean you're going to, tell me I can't buy this or a particular stock or manage things in that way? Oftentimes it's a perspective of asking maybe a little bit different questions about what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do to thrive and flourish? And it may be crazy that you say, hey, I want to do some things that really build kingdom and I want to give more completely. That individual oftentimes wants to know, am I going to be okay? Is my finances and my lifestyle, are things going to be okay? And when I get to a place where things are okay and I have a little excess there, that I may make some decisions upon maybe even considering tithing on an estate. I've asked probably a couple of dozen attorneys, estate planning attorneys, do you ever talk to your clients about tithing on an estate? They all look at me like, are you crazy? We would never do that, to offer that up. Well, it's a good challenging question. I'm not saying that it's right for you. I'm not saying that you should do this or that. It's each person needs to decide in their own heart what they're going to give. Each person needs to decide how they give today and how they give in the future. And God may lay on someone's heart that they should really be funding something significant. Well, I don't want to get in the way of that. I don't want to hamper that. And so by asking the question, I call it the stewardship prayer, Lord, what would you have me do next with all that you've entrusted to me? Not that you bless me with it, not that you've given me full rights. Yes, you can manage the money, but we're stewards. And if we're going to manage well, there might come a time when you're asked to let something go or to give something or do something in an unusual, or you're looking for advice, how do I not spoil my children and grandchildren? How do I not ruin their lives? Nobody wants to leave so much money to their granddaughter that she sits on a yacht all day and snorts cocaine. I mean, you just don't want to do that. No parent or grandparent ever would willingly want to do something like that. I actually had a client, this was back in the late 80s, 1989, and he received $850,000 as an 18-year-old. 7 years later, he's dead. Cocaine and drinking and hard living, and he was broke in 7 years. And it was very tragic. And as I saw that, I saw it was a train wreck that I wanted to do things. So I started looking for training on how can I help encourage family members and others, because I want you to thrive and flourish. I want your life to be one of, you can be vulnerable and be weak and strong at the same time. You can have that attribute where you're really shining because you're being vulnerable, you're being real, but it requires sometimes asking a different kind of question. In the secular world, in the secular training of finances, in the financial industry, this is not the norm. This is not a normal conversation. And don't expect that, even though somebody may go to your church and they maybe go to your synagogue and they seem like really godly man or woman, don't necessarily expect them to be able to siphon out the biblical truths of finances and suit you in a way that allows you to be open to what God's calling is on your life. And that's a very different conversation than what the industry teaches. Because the industry says, hold on to the money as long as possible. Assets under management, gather assets. All you want to do, don't take your Social Security now. Don't take your Social Security later, because you'll be drawing on your IRA and you want to wait until later for that. That creates lots of problems. And I'll have lots more videos about that particular problem that we're going to talk about. But as you look at that and say, what are creative strategies? What could I do? What are my options? And in light of how do we know that we have a long-term plan, live with purpose, be generous? My tagline of when I meet people for the first time, they say, what do you do? I said, well, I work with people who are committed to greater financial clarity in order to gain peace of mind and to live a generous life. And they go, wow, what does that mean? Well, whatever it means to you, I want to be there as a conduit. I want to be good, wise biblical counsel for you. And so if that's something that appeals to you, you'd like to have a conversation, we could sit down. There's no cost to get to know me, I get to know you. Reach out to me, Scott@stewardshipmatters.net.